Holly racked up another championship in Season 3, but Conker gave him a good fight all the way down to the finish. With the added pressure of the playoffs, will it change the dynamic out on track? We'll find out soon as we get ready to watch round one of the PRL NASCAR Truck Series, and you'll see it all live here on the Global SimRacing channel. Hi, and with me in the booth is Chris Phoebe. Behind the scenes is our director, Zach Johnson, and he's using cameras provided by Dougie Beard. We open up at Las Vegas Motor Speedway tonight. It's a circuit that sees high speeds and therefore high risk. Let's head to our track guide to learn more.
Welcome to Sin City and Las Vegas Motor Speedway. The sprawling motorsports complex located 20 minutes northeast of the Strip is home to some of the nicest racing facilities in the nation. Known as the Diamond in the Desert, the crown jewel of this facility is the 1.5-mile D-shaped oval constructed in 1996. In 2006, LVMS underwent massive changes, upping the banking in the corners from 12 to 20 degrees and installing progressive banking in the process. The result? One of the most competitive stock car circuits on the iRacing service. Vegas races like a mini restrictor plate track now, with stock cars and trucks alike often spread 2 and 3 wide, several rows deep, several laps into a tire run. The D-shaped front stretch allows for side-by-side racing action to continue down onto the apron as well, and both corners provide equal opportunity to set up a run the top side or dive down under an opponent on the bottom. Starts and restarts here are especially action-packed, truly one of the most diverse ovals on the iRacing service. In 2018, NASCAR added a second Cup Series date to this track, giving the facility a pair of triple-header weekends with Cup cars, Xfinity, and trucks all competing. Well, that's our look at Las Vegas Motor Speedway. It's time to roll the dice. Enjoy the show.
Well, Chris, normally NASCAR likes to start things off at Daytona, which is a fast super speedway, but the way this thing has been racing lately, I'd say Vegas is a pretty good substitute for the season opener.
That's right, Joe. This track will race a lot like a super speedway for a good portion of the tire run, which you'll see a lot of drafting and maybe needing some companionship if you're looking to make a pass. But on the flip side of that, we're going to have close, hard racing here, and with the playoffs heating up, it is going to be a barn burner for sure.
No doubt about that. And before we get to the racing proper, we want to remind you that our broadcast is brought to you by ASR. Owned and operated by passionate sim racers, Advanced Sim Racing designs and builds the sturdiest and most durable aluminum profile racing simulation cockpits available in the market today. Visit them at advancedsimracing.com.
It is also sponsored by RaceLab. RaceLab helps to improve your driving skills with modern overlays, race statistics, and native VR integration. You can get the best out of iRacing. Start using it now for free at racelab.app.
Today's broadcast is also proudly sponsored by ButtKicker. ButtKicker products add an incredible immersion and realism to any game. Feel every nuance and truly put yourself in the driver's seat. Check them out at thebuttkicker.com.
Today's event is also brought to you by SimMSA. Simulation Motorsports Affinity provides many consulting services, from completely customizing simulators to managing teams, individual drivers, and complete events. They're working hard to bring everyone together at one place to support and promote sim racing internationally. Find out how you can bridge the gap between virtual and real motorsports at SIMMSA.net.
And finally, the PRL NASCAR Truck Series is brought to you by NinjaTrader. Ready to compete against the financial markets? Supporting over 60,000 users across the globe, NinjaTrader provides award-winning trading software and brokerage services. NinjaTrader is always free to use for advanced charting, backtesting, and trade simulation. Visit ninjatrader.com to get started with a risk-free trading simulator and start tracking your performance. Last season, the performance of our drivers at the top came down to just a scant few points in the championship. Up at the top, once again, a familiar name as champion Bradley Holly, but it was only 5 points between himself and Josh Conker in the end. And Abner Acosta was close and in it for some of the time, but certainly scuppered his hopes of things, and he wound up in third with Sink and Cervantes rounding out your top five. What about the teams championship here, Chris?
Well, we had a pretty good little race going on in the teams championship, even closer than the individual championship, actually, with private label Team Hype coming in just 2 points shy of the championship, with Whataback Overdrive Racing taking the crown. And then it was even a close little battle there for third, with 5 points between Next Level Racing and Back Row Racing from the Whataback squad. And can't count out Car Ramrod that hung out towards the back of the top five there, still in the picture when the season came to a close.
Unfortunately, way far back from the rest of those top four. Now, for today's event, it is 85 laps around here. And as always, they only have the 4 tire sets, including the one that they start on, and no spare truck. Any sort of damage that they get, they're just going to have to deal with and get repaired when they have the time. It's also a fixed setup series here in the trucks, as it has been for many seasons. And they have a 24 incident limit. That's a hard limit, which means they will be disqualified if they reach that 24 out here today. So got to be careful if you get too much beating and banging in, or else you could find yourself off the track prematurely. They are in the midst of the qualifying currently, and Danny Cervantes holds the provisional pole. But we're still waiting for names like Bradley Holly, Thomas Sink, Josh Conker to all set times.
Yeah, it's become not too strange to see Danny Cervantes at the top of the charts, though. He has really turned things up here in the last couple seasons and is looking pretty impressive here so far.
Certainly is. I see Conker out there right now. And Evans has moved his way into third recently. I think Conker's just starting his first flying lap as Westerfield finishes his second one and goes into 11th. Still waiting on a number of people to put one down. Abner Acosta is one of those. This is Bradley Holly there on our screen now. And that's his first time lap. It's a 31.680. And that's actually only going to put him in 31st. I'm assuming they need to get the trucks pretty wound up.
Yeah, the way the engine configuration is on these trucks, it does usually take a lap or so to get them wound up and ready to go for a flying lap.
But again, they only get 2, so this is the one that's probably going to count for Bradley Holly as he comes around through turn 4 and across the tri-oval. Is this going to be good enough for pole? It's a 31.031. And no, that is in 6th place, 3rd row for Bradley Holly.
That's not a great start to his championship defense there, by his standards at least. And you can see he's even falling down the charts now as Rob Haynes goes to the top of the charts.
Conker moves himself into 3rd as well, just 9 thousandths off of the pole and less than a thousandth away from Cervantes. We watch Abner Acosta, his second lap. This is the one that counts. It's a 30.988, and that is going to put him on the outside of the second row, 16 thousandths away from Rob Haynes and only 7 thousandths away from Conker.
Yeah, Abner wants to make up for that bad last race that he had, so he's going to be putting his all into this one today.
I think that's it for our qualifying. The grid is now set. Well, then, I believe we are good to go for our qualifying order here today. And Rob Haynes takes that bonus for pole. That's 2 bonus points for that 199 here today, with a scant 9 thousandths between himself and Danny Cervantes. And it's Josh Conker who's going to be starting on the inside of the next row, and Abner Acosta in 4th. Matthew Long will be P5, followed by Patrick Cowgill in 6th. Doug Evans starts 7th, and Thomas Sink in P8. Holly all the way down in 9th, mysteriously, with Josh Daniels rounding out your top 10.
Just outside of the top 10 is Charles Sumner in 11th, with Clayton Curry to his outside. Row number 7 is going to see Colton Lane and Daniel Knight, with Adam Zemke and Bill Kruzka in row number 8. Adam Young, good qualifying performance for him in 17th, with Doyle Lawrence 18th. And then rounding out your top 20 is Jao Guara and Nicholas Hunter.
James Durr starts 21st today, followed by Jim Westerfield. You got Stacy Hunter in 23rd. To his outside, it'll be Richard Thomas. Austin Hunter, P25. He'll have Clayton Montgomery to his right-hand side. Jose Medina, 27th. Tom Amassi in 28th. Baron Hilton starts 29th. And 30th goes to Ryan Traver.
Then just outside of the top 30, we have AJ Roderick in 31st with Danik Momi to his outside. Miguel Cardozo in 33rd with Rob Neller to his outside. Then Adam Shane 35th, Derek Dennis 36th, and two non-qualifiers, Eric Hawk and Patrick Karen in the final row.
So only had two drivers that did not put a time in here of our 38 runners, which surprises me a bit. I thought we'd have a few that are going to take the super speedway route and just elect to start from the back, just fail to qualify intentionally, Chris. But apparently everybody wanted to try and put their best foot forward. Unfortunately for those towards the back of the field, they were not the best foot today.
Unless they put the wrong foot forward on purpose.
I was going to say that'd be tough to do, but then I realized since it is flat out, they could just kind of lift ever so slightly towards the end of it to get themselves just enough. But regardless, we're going to have Rob Haynes on the top spot as we get ready to start. One pace lap here around Las Vegas, and then we go racing for what is hopefully 85 minutes. Don't forget, they do have a time limit here. If they get a lot of cautions, it is only 1 hour long if things start to go a little late here. Of course, with it being nighttime, it's pretty nice conditions for our drivers, even in the deserts. Cool 79 degrees Fahrenheit on the track today, Chris. So I'm assuming that'll help the tire wear over the course of a stint.
That's for sure. I mean, 79 degrees in Las Vegas. I mean, I'm pretty sure you have some natives down there that are breaking out the winter coats.
Certainly, I have to imagine. And we come down that Nellis straightaway on the backstretch, getting ready to go. Will we have many cautions, or will the flat-out nature of this provide a lot of green flag racing? And what will that do to the strategy as to who pits when? They will have at least one stop thanks to the limited fuel here on these trucks. But I anticipate there will be more than one throughout today. Waiting for the iRacing pace car to peel away. And there it goes. Haynes has control. Looking for the green flag here at the tri-oval. Green flag is out. Not the greatest of starts. Danny Cervantes already pulling past him at the start-finish line. He's got a fantastic jump behind them. That is Josh Conker, who looks like he wants the high side at first and then ducks back down low, pretty much double wide all the way back.
Yeah, Josh Conker right now basically a soldier of fortune, trying to take whichever path will get him to the front, and looks like Rob Haynes was able to get up in front of Danny Cervantes, but now we have a much quicker inside line beginning to pull forward.
Yeah, so Josh Conker on the point as we finish the first lap. Matthew Long follows him in second, way down low. That'll move Rob Haynes back into third. He's thinking about three wide early. He tries the high line, but it does look like that lower line on these fresh tires, the shorter distance is the fast way for the time being.
And Matt Long looking really sporty in that 99 truck here early on, Joe. Definitely trying to make a name for himself early in this run.
I think he might have a chance at leading the second lap around. It's going to be tight between himself and Conker, and it looks like Long did lead that one by about 0.004 of a second. There is a bonus point for leading a lap, by the way, so there is an imperative for them to try and get up if you think the championship's going to be tight.
And we saw last season, these championship battles can and will come down to the very last race. And we'll have a couple championships getting settled up at the end of this season. So definitely something to keep an eye on here early in the season. Every point will count.
It will, and that was the case with the Cup cars as well, as the drivers actually saw the championship switch after the race was over because of the penalty points for causing a caution. Rondeletto lost the championship that way. It came down to a single point. And so when we say every point counts, we mean it quite literally. Up at the front of this one, Matthew Long going to lead yet another one across. Josh Conker in second. A little bit of a side-by-side fight between Evans and Haynes, along with, looks like Bradley Holly down there in the 184.
Yeah, Holly almost seems a little trepidatious about getting mixed up in this battle. Seems like he's had a couple opportunities to stick his nose up there with the top four and just seems to be hanging back a little bit, biding his time.
Still plenty of side-by-side racing as Conker now ducks down underneath of Matthew Long up at the front. It's been pretty decent racing, though. A little bit of chopping and fighting out through there, but I haven't seen anything ridiculous at this stage. Cervantes not looking like he's faring well. He's fallen back to 8th after starting on the front row.
That's really interesting to see after it looked like he had such a strong start. He was fighting for the lead, but it just goes to show in this style of racing, if you choose the wrong partners, get in the wrong place at the wrong time, you can drop very quickly.
Yes, he's now down to that 8th spot with Acosta looking to his inside. So we'll see if the 5 can demote him yet one more. Patrick Cowgill up in 7th after being demoted one position. Looks like Haynes is going to be able to get by Conker up at the front. That is Conker on the bottom there in the pink, white, and black.
And if you look, Bradley Holly moving up a spot, Joe. Looks like he may be a little more interested in getting involved with these top 3.
Certainly is. And so far, glad to see they've been able to handle this close racing pretty well. As this could have been a lot worse, certainly. But everybody has a cool head. They understand the style of what Vegas offers. And they're trying to just log the laps in at this stage. Not really any sort of breakaway that I can see until you get down to, it looks like James Durr is the last in the first pack in 23rd. After that, AJ Roderick kind of falling off the back of the field.
And that's a product of the way this engine configuration is set up. It makes this track race more like a super speedway. It's going to keep most of the field in fairly close contact. And you can see it here with a couple drivers on the screen that are not letting each other get too far away.
Continuing to run side by side for second place as we look at the farther back pack now on our screen, coming through 1 and 2. This is the one being led by Stacy Hunter there in the 71. As Massey chases him down. That's Medina and Momi in there as well. Momi in the bright yellow truck you see on the bottom.
And Joe, you're seeing some of these trucks with blue highlights on their spoilers and the front valance. Those are our playoff drivers, which we'll get to those rankings here in a little bit. But that's another thing that we have on the line here is the culmination of our season-long points chase. Something
happened to Durr. The 55 is going very slow. I think he made contact with the wall in 1 and 2. That slowed him up. No caution, though. Just scraped it and was able to pull it off eventually as things are getting a little tight here in the back, though.
Yeah, that's one thing about this type of racing. You lose the momentum for just a second. Anything that makes you have any off-throttle time. And it takes you like 2-3 laps to get really back up to speed and back up into basically your racing pace.
Did I see somebody else in the wall, or were they just riding it? I think the 05 I'm hearing, that's Amacy. Yeah, Tom, for some reason, went a little too high, found himself just up against that safer barrier, and has now fallen back to last on the field. Meanwhile, we once again glance towards Matthew Long. It's gotten single file up in the top 6. Long, Haynes, Conker, Hawley, Sink, Cowgill. They'll make it 7. Looks like Cervantes is on the tail of this train. They might be able to pull in both Josh Daniels and Doug Evans, who sit in 8th and 9th behind them before they finally get a break And then Daniel Knight has fallen to about half a second back from them. So we're starting to see some changes in the field and some gaps opening up. Who is now charging to the inside. I think that's the 31 of Cowgill, trying to see if he can make a move on Thomas Sink.
Patrick Cowgill, another one of those drivers that's itching to have a breakout moment here, Joe. He's put together some good finishes here and there, but he is definitely determined to get to the front of the field.
And it looks like Conker's going to try and make a move on Rob Haynes. And we've got a 3-wide situation a little farther in the back. The racing just a little less orderly amongst those in the mid-pack and beyond. Looks like Colton Lane there in the red number 60. I know he was briefly 3-wide, but they've gone back to single file.
Yeah, Colton's definitely not a driver that's afraid of making it 3-wide.
And he's been in this series for quite some time, so he knows how to race around these guys. Behind him, it definitely is 3-wide. Look at that. That's Roderick on the high side, Kruska in the middle, and Zemke, who's finally going to back out of it on the bottom, taking it back to 2-wide. 57 deciding a little bit better to try and just hold station. They've been ticking off laps nicely, but they still aren't too far in, only 16 laps into this 85 event, so there's a lot to go.
Well, Joe, it looks like the 199 of Rob Haynes, our pole sitter, maybe having some issues. He just dropped way down the rankings, was running in the top 3, and now finds himself 8th and dropping.
Well, let me see if I can figure out what happened to him here. Because he was up in the top 3, like you said. Yeah, I don't know. For some reason, he just starts falling backwards bit by bit. I don't see anything all that dramatic. So maybe he's doing it intentionally. Maybe he's just trying to save his stuff. If we're going to get a long green flag run, I suppose the kinder you are to your tires, the better you're going to be sitting later on.
That's still a pretty dramatic move to make, just allowing yourself to drop back that far. But I mean, everyone's got their own strategy, I suppose.
And clearly it's easy to try and make up track position if you get good runs around here. So maybe he's not too concerned about having that at this stage. Frankly, things have very much calmed down for the most part. There is a little bit of side-by-side racing, but I think drivers are trying to find their own little place on the track. We're not even close to getting lap traffic. First side-by-side that I can see is Adam Young back in 16th as he's trying to keep up with Clayton Curry and hold back Richard Thomas.
Yeah, this is that Oh, we got a truck in the wall.
Kruska? I think that was Kruska in the wall, like you said. Did he get some help? He did. Little bit of contact, and that was Nick Hunter in the 109 that came together with him. And ahead of them, actually, Joao Guerra also had contact almost at the same time. That was bizarre. Two completely separate incidents that two different drivers, Guerra and Kruska, both suffered from and are falling down the order.
Yeah, that's going to make things much more difficult for these drivers, having to try to claw their way back up after that. And got to imagine that damage is going to definitely going to slow them down.
Oh, yeah. I would think that this is a hugely aerodynamic dependent track here, Chris. So any scrape that you get is probably going to make life extremely difficult. So back up at the front, it is still Matthew Long leading, who's taken over the lead since early in this race from Josh Conker, who I thought looked like in the first lap or two was the one that had the pace to lead the way, but not so. Bradley Hawley has overcome his poor qualifying, gone from 9th to 3rd. And since he's gotten to 3rd, well, he's just kind of sat there.
Yeah, it's kind of a typical Bradley Holly move. He gets up to where he needs to be, and he's just going to keep watching till he finds the right opportunity to stick his nose in the battle. Looks like Bill Kruska, unfortunately, called it a night after that damage. He is disconnected from the event.
It's a bit of a shame. Joao Guerra did come into the pits and take some repairs. Actually looked like very little in the way of repairs. I see 15 seconds for his stop. So that looks like tire and fuel for the most part, and then out and on his way. So I guess Joao figured, I'm already going to be falling to the back. Might as well take a gamble, see what this gives me.
If all else fails, at least you can say you're trying something.
He is a lap down, unfortunately, though. So if we get a caution before pit stops start to unfold for the rest of the field, he's going to be trapped. Although he will be eligible for the lucky dog in that case. He actually might be 2 laps down soon. Yeah, he's getting caught by the leaders already.
Yeah, he's going to have an uphill climb after clobbering the wall and then getting off cycle with his pit stop. But like I said, at least he's trying something. But yeah, it's going to take a lot of luck for this strategy to work out.
So since we've been going green all the way here to lap 26 at this point, Chris, do you think anybody, especially towards the back, is starting to think undercut? Is it worth taking the gamble and going that lap down to see if you can make some ground on the field?
Well, I mean, the drop-off hasn't seemed too incredibly dramatic. I mean, they've lost about a second, but to that point, oh gosh, I don't know how well an undercut's going to work here at this point. I mean, I would think if you're towards the back and not having any luck moving forward, it may be worth a shot. But at this point, strategy's up in the air from my end of the table.
Yeah, it's hard to say, especially since, like we said, it seems like drivers should be able to move backwards and forward as they please at this track. So if you really want to go, you probably should be able to go. But maybe someone who's just struggling for whatever strange reason could try and throw the dice here. We mentioned earlier about Rob Haynes falling backwards. He's all the way down to 11th now. Our pole sitter seems to have actually started to lose the draft of 10th ahead of him. That's Abner Acosta currently. And there you see, that's Sumner just behind Rob Haynes. Sumner in his now traditional orange and green that's become associated with him, not just here in the oval side, but over on the road side too, where he has taken a liking to racing quite frequently here in the PRL.
We got to think the more different disciplines you have under your belt, the more it can help you across the board. And I mean, Charles has really stepped up in the last season or two since he started the road racing side. So I think it's paying dividends for him. And we're seeing a lot of these guys that are stepping over to the roadside.
Yeah, Bradley Holly is one. Patrick Cowgill has been doing it quite a bit. Certainly couldn't hurt. Cowgill, speaking of which, is working around the outside of Danny Cervantes. Danny actually came over earlier this week onto the road cars, and he's lost his speed. Wow, look at how quickly Josh Daniels comes up to the rear bumper of that number 25. But it looks like he's going to have Daniel Knight helping him out here in a moment, be able to give him a boost. Well, he might not need it because now Daniels is also falling away.
Well, that is definitely going to make it hard to be a drafting partner if you're dropping back.
So these cars will have to take a pit stop, as I said, not just because of tires, but also because of fuel. Need to double check and see about how far we're expecting them to be able to get. But regardless, we are encroaching upon the halfway pretty soon. About 12 more laps, and we'll be just about halfway along in this race. That looks like actually they have not limited the fuel in this IMC. It's 100%. So I believe that'll get them to 55 to 60 laps, if I'm not mistaken.
I'm going to trust your math skills with that over mine.
It's a rough estimate. I haven't gotten to do a fuel run in these specific cars, but similar oval cars. As we continue to watch this fighting here, I believe, is that Abner Acosta in there that we're seeing? Yeah, that's Acosta side by side with Daniel Knight. Cervantes getting very close to the back of Patrick Calgill and then ducking down low. Since it is so fast around here, I mean, they're doing 170 miles an hour, 175 by the time they get to the end of the backstretch, Chris. Is it possible to take the air off the spoiler by getting right up underneath it?
Oh, yeah, it's definitely possible. I mean, with how much drafting is going on out there and all the aero dependence, you really could suck right up to the back of somebody's truck and really get them upset by getting the air off that spoiler.
And down to the bottom, here comes Daniel Knight. We're going to go 3 wide, way up at the top. That's Cervantes drifting up a little bit, and the 17 has to get out of it. He holds it, no caution, but a scary moment for Daniel.
Yeah, that had big accident potential, and Daniel Knight thought better of it, got out of the gas. It's going to cost him quite a few spots, but he's going to live to race on, and they're already looking at 3 wide once again.
Oh, that was also just as scary. Acosta tried to shoot the gap, and Cervantes, not totally aware, I think, chopped him off. So Acosta eventually backed out of it. Patrick Calgill at the bottom losing momentum, and now he starts to fall back as the 41 of Doug Evans is going to have the shot. We ride on board with him.
Yeah, these onboard cameras are so much fun to see. You can watch how much input they're putting into the steering wheel, or here you can just see how close they are to what's in front of them.
And they get very close for sure. We've hopped on board with Evans once again, as that's the 25 is Cervantes making more contact, light contact with Josh Conker, but they also get away with that. He's going to duck down low, see if he can overtake him. This is all effectively for the 4th position, where the 5 of Acosta sits. Conker going to say, no, you don't, and fend him off.
One thing that is super nerve-wracking when you're driving in this type of racing is that closing rate when you get a run on somebody. I mean, you close up on them so fast, you barely have time to react. And I'm honestly surprised we haven't seen anybody run over each other. But I guess that goes to show just how high the talent level is here in the PRL. Or I guess how low the talent level is when I'm driving.
Now, if I'm not mistaken, does Josh Conker have a little bit of damage on that 54? I wonder. I would think he'd be falling back a lot quicker, and I'm not sure when he got it.
Well, he is definitely falling back, but it's not a rock tossed in a pond kind of situation. But he's definitely given up some room there, as he actually almost got into it with Doug Evans there a little bit.
Let's keep the cameras here, because certainly something could erupt quickly, but just a heads up, Long continues to lead by a massive gap of about a second. Holly and Sink are trying to chase him down, but those two are paired up. And then you get to this big old group you have back here, where they've been going quite, frequently 3 wide like there. 2 cars in the wall, Daniel Knight and Josh Conker. No caution still as they keep it pointed forward, but if there wasn't damage on the 54, there certainly is now.
Hopefully not something we spoke into existence, Joe, but yeah, definitely hard contact in that wall for the 54 and the 17.
And Adam Zemke looks like he's going to try to split this up evenly as he comes into pit, because we're at lap 40 out of 85. He's got a friend with him. That's Cardozo in the 79. And Eric Hauk as well. So a few of the runners towards the back of the field are electing to take the gamble and do green stops. If they had seen what we had just seen, though, I don't think I would be willing to take that risk. It feels like that's the closest we've gotten to a caution yet at this point. Yeah. Was that Calgill?
Yeah,
that's
looks like Patrick Calgill, one of our first semi-front runners that's hitting pit road.
So perhaps responding to those around him, not wanting to get jumped. He'll try and take some fresh boots. Matthew Long keeps going, so does Holly Sink, Costa, Cervantes, our top 5. And we're hearing that Adam Young is likely to come in this time, trying to find the bottom of the track. Yeah, there goes Adam Young down there. Looking through our drivers who have pitted. Remember, Guerra stopped quite a while ago, about 19 laps ago. And he's actually very easily by all of these guys now.
Here in Westerfield said he's pitting in this time.
Leaders continue to stay out. I do see Doug Evans coming in. So there's another front runner. Looks like Austin Hunter. Ooh, big problem for Daniel Knight trying to get it woed up to come into the pits. I wonder if he was speeding a bit because that thing was still wobbling as he crossed the line.
Well, that could, that's definitely a heavy penalty here.
It's 50 miles an hour. Okay, I think he was good. I'm pretty certain that he is not going to be penalized as Bradley Holly. No, Matthew Long is in. Looks like Thomas Sink as well.
And that's going to hand the lead over to Holly and Acosta temporarily.
What about those who just pitted not long ago? Looking to see one of the early ones. Cardozo is now slicing on past. Yeah, he's sitting pretty. The 79 is overtaking a whole lot of cars, and Zemke is as well. Zemke was the other one that pitted on that same lap. Well, as coming in, that looks to be Guerra. The thing about pitting early, though, Chris, there's the old saying, you still got to pay the piper. Are they going to be suffering with earlier stops by a few laps?
You know, that's something that definitely could come into play, Joe, as we see Bradley Holly hitting pit road. The sooner you pit, the longer you got to make your stuff last.
So the good news for them is that they did pit pretty close to that halfway mark, so it's not going to be too much of a stretch. Acosta keeps going, Cervantes and Hilton, Holly, Sumner, Daniels, Medina all are in the pits right now. Looks like Matthew Long is our highest driver to have pitted. He's currently sitting in 8th, and Acosta's in.
Boy, not to stir the pot or anything, but an interesting time for a caution to hit, huh?
Are you trying to call the commentator's curse into existence there?
I'm maybe into the chaos a little bit.
Okay, Loki. Well, in the meantime, Danny Cervantes has decided to stay out so he could trap a whole lot of drivers a lap down here. Abner Costa just getting in. Oh, and the 25 is also in. That's the last of them. But it does look like Matthew Long, who was leading before the pit stop sequence started to kick off, is going to lead afterwards, because I don't think he's going to be jumped by Cervantes here.
Yeah, looks like things are coming around as the pit cycle works itself through.
Already 48 laps in. And if you're just joining us, apologies for some small technical difficulties. Hopefully we'll be able to bring you the remainder of the race here for round 1 of the Precision Racing League NASCAR Truck Series. Matthew Long is our leader after pit stops have just finished. He's about 2 seconds ahead of Thomas Sink and Bradley Holly sitting in the 3rd position. That's where things finally start to get close from there on down. Doug Evans right behind him, and then a little bit of a gap to Adam Zemke. But we have been caution-free all race long. The drivers have been handling it well, but it hasn't been without incident.
That's right, Joe. We've had a few drivers that have met an unfortunate meeting with the wall, which has made their race a lot more difficult, including former series champion Josh Conker, who started 3rd, now runs north of the 20th spot as he works to overcome some heavy damage to his machine.
Where is Guerra? Oh, there he is. It's okay. He's way down the order. I knew he got into trouble, but he pitted early, and I was curious if the fresh tires had gained him anything. And it sounds like I'm just looking now. He has pitted recently, so he's going to stay a lap down, unfortunately. Well, there went his chance to try and maybe pull a little bit of an alternate strategy. And I think, did Bradley Holly just overtake Thomas Sink?
Yep, it looks that way. Holly now up into the second position, but Thomas Sink not letting him get too far away yet, Joe.
He's sticking with it. Holly on 2-lap fresher tires than Matthew Long. He's back by about 1.7 seconds, and I do believe he is running slightly faster. 31.4 last time for Matt, and Brad with a 31 flat. Yeah, wow, actually half a second faster, so he's coming.
But you got to wonder, too, with the huge advantage Long has, one, he doesn't have the benefit of any type of draft or anything, but on top of that, he could also be laying back a little bit, trying to save his stuff for the end.
That could be. These two seem to have hooked up now, so Holly's got a friend in Thomas Sink. It's down to 1.4 seconds between the lead and P2. Last season saw Holly take 2 wins on his way to that championship. Is he going to be able to kick things off here in the Truck Series this season by taking a victory right off the bat? And we get our first caution. Trying to see, this is Baron Hill. Oh, it's Baron Hilton, and I see somebody else in the wall there. That is Ryan Traver.
There was some pretty impressive avoidance there. Looked like there was a car sitting long ways on the track, and a couple guys had to split the difference there.
And this starts with Traver and Josh Conker. So things have gone from bad to worse for Josh. There you see it right there. He gets into Hilton, who is kind of an innocent victim in this one. Hilton goes up, and there you see some of the avoidance. I think that's Cowgill. Not sure who else in there. That looks like Shane got a little bit of a touch. You saw him take a tap. And I think Nick Hunter was one of the ones that kind of eked by.
Yeah, you really got to feel bad for the Zero truck there. Really just wrong place, wrong time.
Ooh, good job in all of that. Having to go multiple directions to get this thing woed up. Okay, so we're not terribly long in on the pit stops. The oldest I'm seeing is the 79 on 15-lap old tires. But it looks like tires are king because we still got everybody pitting.
Well, I figured it was going to be one way or the other. Either nobody was going to pit or everyone was going to. And obviously the lure of the fresh tires was a siren song for all these drivers.
Except for Cardozo. The one that I said had the oldest tires stayed out. Otherwise, everybody on the lead lap is in. We'll see what this does for the battle on pit road. Can anybody sneak a position? Could they gamble on 2 tires, maybe? Would that be good enough? Looks like Long is going to be the first out. Sink is out ahead of Holly, though.
Well, it's not too often you see Bradley Holly get beat in the pits, but here we are.
Now, while we've got some time here with the caution, I believe we've got a little bit of a graphic to show in case our viewers want to see what they need to be looking for our playoff viewers. This is, again, a year-long championship that they do. In addition, there's the spoiler, both front and back, as well as the banner that you want to be looking for to spot those who are in the playoffs for the trucks here. And this involves all 4 seasons. Well, to get into it, it was the first 3 seasons, and now the 4th season is the playoffs, where they will be in that bracket system to try to be the year-long champion in the Precision Racing League NASCAR Truck Series, which these drivers definitely will want just as much. Looks like Cardozo regretted his decision because he is now into the pit. So that means everybody on the lead lap did indeed pit under this first caution of the night.
We made it into the 50-lap range before we had our first caution. but I'm interested to see if this could lead to more.
Yeah, that's a good point. They're going to be all packed up once again, and everybody's on fresh rubber, so they're going to be a little more ambitious. Those at the back know that this restart being a little less than 30 laps to go, well, it's time to start moving, I guess.
Yeah, we are definitely at the point in this race where it's not just sit around and try to make it to the end. We're at the end, so now it's time to put the pedal down.
Still waiting for the lights to go out on the pace car. And James Durr is going to get a lap back in this. So will Clayton Curry, Patrick Caron, and Joao Guerra. So though you see them in front of that 99 of Matthew Long, they are not going to be there for long. As soon as the lights go out, they'll get waved around. Well, except for Joao Guerra, who's pitting in.
Yeah, Guerra's had a pretty difficult night, and looks like it seems to only be getting worse for him.
Well, I wonder if he's dealing with some damage or something that he's had to kind of chip away at whenever he gets the opportunity. That's a strange call to me. I'm not sure why he elected not to get that lap back. Is taking tires here, and they only have 4 sets. Let's not forget. So, what is that his third stop actually? So that might have been all of his sets if he took them on every pit stop. Again, well, I don't get that call.
Yeah, color me confused.
Well then, we are double file, and they waved by. No, excuse me, we are not double file. They're preempting it. They'll do this from time to time. And there's the lights turn back on. Yeah, they weren't happy with the wave around guys. They're going to try and get them back to the front. Or back to the back of the pack, I should say. Ooh, quite a bit of damage. Holy cow. Who is that? Oh, that's Clayton Curry. Okay, that's not a leader. There we go. They were actually, the stewards were on the radio to him. I just realized now what was going on in all the discussion. They were telling him to get a move on, and now he's finally going to get around to the back of the field.
Wave around truck forgot he was a wave around truck.
I was very confused. I was like, what leader has that much damage on their truck? My goodness.
The one that's at the end of the lap.
Yeah, exactly. Okay. Hopefully, for real this time, we're going to go back to green flag racing with about 27 laps to go. And we still have 37 of our 38 starters out there. William Kruska, the only driver to have taken a DNF so far today, which isn't too big of a surprise considering we've only had a single caution in our 58 laps of racing here. The 99 has been leading most of them. Matthew Long has looked to be the man to beat. I would not be willing to bet against Bradley Holly, though, if I'm honest, Chris.
You know, if you're one of the people that have been watching the PRL Truck Series for a long time, betting against Bradley Holly is usually not a smart choice.
Certainly not. I've frankly lost count of how many championships he's gotten at this point. One of these days, we're going to have to actually count and see how many there are total between the trucks and the Cup cars. There goes the pace car.
I hate to be the guy that dusts his trophy room.
Green flag is out, and Sink is going to try and deny him another trophy today, but Holly says no. He starts to pull ahead and slot into second place. He's still got to get past Long as many of the drivers start to get to the bottom line. And I'm looking through there. How about the 21? I don't know how we missed this. He's gone from 17th to 6th. A great bit of moving up the order as Bradley Holly moves up the final spot to the P1 position out on the track. He will lead this lap over Matthew Long.
Well, Holly definitely smelled the blood in the water. He was right on it. Got past Thomas Sink at the restart, and then got past Long before we got back to the line. Bradley Holly is definitely turning up the wick here in this last run.
Fighting back, Long tries to come up the outside, and familiar faces all around in the top. Abner Acosta back there giving watch. Thomas Sink in there. Doug Evans showing his face along with Adam Zemke, who's not doing too shabby as well in that number 57 from 15th to that 6th position. And look at Long. Long is coming back at him and actually almost looking like he might be able to do it.
He is ahead of him as we head down the back straightaway. Not sure if it's enough to stay ahead, but he is definitely inching ahead as we go through 3 and 4. Holly's going to pull just about even. It's going to be a drag race to the line here. Looks like Holly had it, but not by very much, Joe. 2/1000ths of a second, the difference on that lap.
Some close racing between them. I get the sense that this is some side drafting going on, trying to slow each other up. They're playing games now.
And we're seeing a lot of familiar faces up front, but drivers that really haven't been in the mix today, with Abner Acosta finally pulling up towards the front. I guess once the pay window opens, some of these guys come calling.
I said earlier, it's getting to be time to go, and I think we're seeing the evidence of that right here. Side by side for first, side by side for third. Get a little bit of cars going single file until you get 3 wide actually now, as up on the outside, Charlie Sumner. Oh, and a checkup from Bradley Holly. Thankfully, everybody was heads up. We go 3 wide now for 3rd place as well. That's Acosta in the middle. He's going to bang doors, and that's Doug Evans that he gets to at the bottom. Thankfully, no caution, no spin.
Well, that definitely should have been a caution, probably 3 or 4 times over. But everybody keeping it together. Bradley Holly with, looks like the number rubbed off on that driver's side door, but otherwise, somehow we keep it going.
Well, this is a boon to Long and Sink, who've started to stretch away slightly now. Side by side between Acosta and Holly, the old rivals, through and across the tri-oval. As well behind them, looks like pairing up. That's Zemke and Cervantes. Zemke on the high side in the 57 blue machine. Cervantes down low in the USPS truck. A little bit of a push of help from Zemke on Bradley Holly. No such luck for Acosta down at the bottom. Are we doing 3 wide again here? Nope, nope, guess not.
No, let's not do that. I don't know if my heart can handle it.
And all this time, they continue to drop off. They could have damaged the aerodynamics on those trucks so easily. Yeah, look at the distance. I can see the distance growing now. It's up to 0.7 of a second. I feel like they need to get single file and start working together.
Well, that's definitely easier said than done when you have a racer's mindset like these guys have. But as it is, Long and Sink beginning to run away and hide from the rest of the field.
And with 20 laps to go as well. Still enough time for another caution to erupt, and that could bring everybody back forward once again. But as they fight for that 3rd spot, looks like Acosta going to have to give up the ghost. Zemke will fall back with him, and somehow Bradley Holly finds speed in places I am confused as to how he finds speed over everybody else on fixed setups on the same age tires and with a truck that should be at least relatively damaged.
I'm pretty sure it's the lucky shirt.
Oh boy, wonder if he's changed it again this season, because he changed it once before. We'll have to check a little bit later. And Acosta really dropping now. Cervantes goes by, and Doug Evans going to do the same. This all happening roughly a second behind Long and Sink, who have not looked back ever since they've been able to take that lead away and not really showing any signs of wanting to fight like those behind them. These may be the 2 smartest in the field right now.
Well, it's definitely paying dividends for him right now with roughly 15 laps left. They are in a pretty prime position.
Still have 33 drivers on that lead lap, too, by the way. Might be 32 pretty soon, because I think Conquer with his damaged truck is about to get lapped by the leaders. Question is whether or not he's going to try and hook up and help some of his Team Hype friends.
Well, he was in a position to do it. Ooh, got a little close there with Abner Acosta and Doug Evans.
And that's Cervantes that we see on screen trying to duke it out with Bradley Hawley. I think Cervantes is going to have this one. He's managed to get fully ahead of him. And yeah, he's going to slide up in front of that black truck. They start to find some distance to Doug Evans, Acosta, and Charlie Sumner. Oh, and we might have a wreck. Big slide down at the bottom, and they hit more cars going around, trying to figure out who that is in the black truck. That is Montgomery in the 45. And this took a long time to unfold. It starts with Montgomery, and Westerfield on the backstretch goes all the way into turns 3 and 4. Westerfield eventually gets it. Montgomery not so lucky. He's going to get into the side of, looks like Lawrence and Thomas. See him down on the apron. He's trying to save it. He knows he's going to come back up. Other drivers might be as aware. Thankfully, I think he's the only one to completely go around. Who's the yellow truck that just narrowly avoided it? That was wild stuff there. Trying to find who that was. I think that was Momi. That was Momi who did a brilliant job sneaking through.
I guess with all the bad luck he's had today, Danik Momi was owed one at least.
Now that'll net him an 18th place as well. But here's where it gets interesting. Everybody's coming in for what should be their last set of tires. If anybody elects to stay out, they could save some stuff. There's the look one more time, just how close he came. If anybody elects to stay out, did Colton Lane? I think Colton Lane did. So what he is hoping for those wondering what is going on, is another caution. Just a couple laps, he can come in and pit and potentially streak through the field to take the victory at the end. If he doesn't, he's going to be a bit of a sitting duck up at the front of the field.
Yeah, it's a risky strategy, but you got to try something. If you basically got to do something different from everybody else if you want to see it pay off.
Is it an even bold strategy, perhaps, Cotton?
I would say it is a pretty bold strategy.
We'll see how it plays out. And
hopefully nobody throws a wrench in this one.
Colton is going to stay out. He's committed. He's not coming in. But Clayton Curry, who did stay out, looks like he's a lap down, though, so he's going to pit in. Looks like Thomas Sink is the next one down. He'll start in second, and he has taken tires. Yeah, everybody else has taken tires except the lone brave driver of Colton Lane, and that number 60.
Well, Colton is very rarely afraid of making the brave choice.
See a few more of the lap trucks into the pits and getting their fresh rubber on. We've now lost Nick Hunter, it looks like. He has exited from this race, so we're left with 36 drivers when we get restarted. If we see the likes of James Durr and Derek Dennis get back out on track. I see Guerra. I thought Guerra is in. No, he is not in, excuse me. In fact, Guerra is going to get his lap back finally, though. So after race long, trudging through in the back of the field, he is going to cycle back around and get with the leaders. I think we might get one to go this time here, Chris. Let's see. coming to the line. If they do, that means the restart will give us 10 laps to go. Across the line, lights are out. Here we go, 10-lap shootout. They've got plenty of time as well to get more cautions and still finish the full race distance. They also have one green-white checker. So if we get within 4 to 5 laps from the end and the yellow comes out, they will go to a green-white checker scenario, which means 2 laps to the finish will be tacked on at the end of the race under green. They'll get that one shot to finish it under green, but if yellow comes out before they see the white flag, the race will be called, and that is it.
That's something I haven't thought about in our time away is the fact that we do have that green-white checker option that could come into play.
Absolutely. So starting at the front, Colton Lane with Thomas Sink. Matthew Long did not manage to get out ahead of Thomas. He got jumped in that, something that we didn't mention in all the chaos as well. He's going to want to try and get ahead of that 48. Is down below the 8, trying to stay out of the way or something. Not sure what he's doing, but regardless, shouldn't cause a caution. There goes the pace car, waiting for the green flag. And the green flag is out. Colton Lane is on it. Thomas Sink with the fresher tires is very quickly starting to edge forward past the nose. And pretty soon it looks like he's going to be able to easily blow by.
Yeah, it looks like Matthew Long did not luck out on that restart as he got trapped behind Colton Lane there for the first 2 corners. He's going to give up a spot to Cervantes.
Yeah, after he gets by Colton, it'll even out. He'll be in 3rd. Oh, very loose off the final corner, and the checkup causes Cervantes to get spun by a nudge from Matthew Long. No caution. He's off the racing line.
Well, Cervantes is going to be able to rejoin, but he has lost a ton of spots, Joe.
That's effectively race over for him. As that was happening, Zebke has moved to the front. I think the rest of them checking up gave him a chance. They're going to go 3 wide for the lead, and Long is to the bottom. Long's going to be able to take the lead back.
Well, I can say I did not see that coming.
Oh, we get another caution. We should be able to restart this one. I see Cardozo involved in this. Looks like a few of them, they went 3 wide in front of Cardozo. Stacy Hunter was another one, 4 wide briefly. Stacy Hunter, well, oh man, we spoke too soon about Momi. He gets involved. Adam Shane gets involved. Here's the replay, yeah. Very difficult situation. Looks like similar to what we saw before. Drivers checking up, coming off the final corner, Chris, and just caused a chain reaction. Oh, and Momi kind of started it seems, as he got into the side of, was that Cowgill?
Looked like it was Cowgill.
After we went green for so long. Oh, was that Cervantes that just made that contact? Oh, after all that. Ooh, and I don't know. Well, Cervantes maybe should have slowed up a little bit, but I also think that was a pretty sloppy rejoin, unfortunately. I think you can put a little bit on both parties for that one.
Yeah, I would say that's a fair call. Definitely stinks for Danny. He's retired from this session.
How quickly things can change in oval racing, Chris. He was in contention for the win, and now Cervantes looks like he'll finish 36th today.
Well, the racetrack giveth, the racetrack taketh away.
It does, for sure. Well, while we wait for this caution to wrap up, I believe we have a chance for a short break. We're going to come back and bring you all the way to the checkers here in the Precision Racing League. Don't go away. Welcome back to Las Vegas Motor Speedway. We're getting ready to watch what hopefully will be the last laps under green here in the Precision Racing League NASCAR Truck Series. We'll get one more caution if we do, and that caution will likely send us to a overtime green-white checkers. We went the vast majority of this race under green, and then towards the end, it has suddenly fallen into a spate of yellows. It looks like we are going double file now, so we are going to restart with, I believe, 4 laps to go. As we look forward to seeing whether or not they can keep it clean for that. Matthew Long has been leading the vast majority of this race, had to kind of work his way back forward after Sink beat him in the pit stops previously. Zemke took advantage of a melee up at the front to get all the way up to the point briefly and is now back in second. Thomas Sink, who probably wants that lead back, is there in third. And Bradley Hawley, sporting just a little bit of damage on the left-hand side of that 184, sits in fourth, haunting all of them. And I'm pretty certain every single driver there up at the front is keeping an eye on that black machine, trying to keep him from taking yet another of his countless victories. Okay, through 3 and 4. They're starting to get antsy. They know they've got to make the moves now. Can somebody from even farther back maybe do something? Acosta, Young are back there. Doug Evans, who has been up towards the front all race long. There goes the pace car. Long waits for it. Oh, and he catches out Zemke, who tries to time the start and fails. He checks up. He falls back. But it looks like he won't have too bad a damage from it. He's going to be able to slot into second as down low below Hawley. I believe that's Acosta trying to take fourth rather.
Zemke has looked really strong in these closing stages. He gets a huge run off of turn 2, Joe. He's going to try to pull alongside the 99 as we head off into turn number 3.
Zemke gets a nose ahead and fully ahead. And he's going to bring along a friend with him as well. Matthew Long might lose second place. That is Thomas Sink down below as we go 3 laps to go now.
I'm not sure if Zemke found another gear or what, but he just took off of turn 2. Past the 199, made it look easy after Matthew Long led so many laps today. Now Long beginning to fight back, and you can see Zemke trying to move around a little bit, break the draft up.
They dropped the ones behind them by a little bit. Acosta, Bradley Hawley, Young, Daniels have all been kind of fighting amongst themselves, but they still have time to try and catch it up. But now it's down to 2 laps to go. Penultimate lap here, moving up to the high side. Is he trying to widen the entry, get that little bit more speed? Thomas Sink is looking to see if he can overtake Adam Zemke, who might be a surprise winner here today. Dives down to the very bottom of the backstretch, tries to come back up to widen the corner. He gets the inside. Long thinks about 3 wide and then thinks against it. Oh, but nobody goes for it on the front stretch, almost loses the truck. That might be race over there for Matthew Long, or at least win gone for him. And up around the outside, the 57 of Zemke is not going to give this one up. They're going to bang doors through 1 and 2. Down on the bottom, Thomas Sink as they wreck behind them. I think that may have been Conker getting involved in things as Thomas Sink down low holds the bottom away from Zemke. He's got the shorter line. A run, though, here for Matthew Long. Can he find anything? Once again, they're going to go 3 wide. Long hits the wall. Wheel to wheel, coming to the finish line, and it's Zemke for the win in round 1.
What a last lap for that race, Joe. My God.
Where did Long come from? I thought he was toast. He nearly stole it from both of them, but it was Zemke ahead of Sink. Long was in third. Hawley, Sumner, and Young were, I want to say, almost 3 wide themselves across the line. What a finish to this race. It may have slowed up at the end with the cautions, but they gave us a show to be proud of. Is celebrating now. Adam Zemke is going to burn it down here in the Tri-Oval. We're going to take a quick break. We'll be back with the unofficial results as well as driver interviews, so stick around. Welcome back to Las Vegas Motor Speedway. We just watched round one of the Precision Racing League NASCAR Truck Series, and it was Adam Zemke who won from 15th on the grid with 18 thousandths behind him being Thomas Sink, who finished in second. Sink was really up towards the top three, top five, pretty much all race long. Speaking of long, well, Matthew Long finished in third, about 2/10 back himself. We thought he was done with a lap to go, and then suddenly he came back and nearly was able to find a gap, but ran out of racetrack there and had to settle for that P3. Bradley Holly was fourth with Charles Sumner in P5. You've got Adam Young. Boy, I want to give some credit because poor Adam has had the worst luck here in the Truck Series, and he comes in with a sixth place here at Vegas after starting 17th. Doug Evans was P7 with Rob Haynes in 8th. Jose Medina from 27th to 9th, and Westerfield rounds out your top 10.
Austin Hunter from 25th to 11th. And how about AJ Roderick going from 31st to 12th? Then Richard Thomas in 13th, Colton Lane 14th. Patrick Cowgill, an up and down day for him in 15th. Danik Momi 16th with Tom Amassi in 17th. Daniel Knight 18th after being involved in one of the cautions. Eric Hauk 19th, and Ryan Traver completes the top 20.
21st went to Clayton Montgomery, Baron Hilton, and 22nd. Joao Guerra managed to get back on the lead lap very late and climbed all the way up to 23rd. Still a little bit lower than what he started, but I'm sure it's better than he thought he was going to be through most of this race. Poor Abner Acosta had to settle for P24 as Clayton Curry was 25th, Hunter 26th, and Neller was 27th. Then it's Patrick Karen in 28th. Josh Conker, who got some damage, went down to 29th after starting on row 2. Doyle Lawrence was 30th, and then the last one on the lead lap was Josh Daniels. From there on down, you get to trucks who had a bad day, finishing multiple laps down, and I believe a scant few that DNF'd out there on the track. But that takes us to our winner here today, Adam Zemke, who definitely pulled a blinder on a number of other drivers as well as a bit on us, because though he was quick all day and certainly was hanging around the front, Adam, I have to admit, I hadn't picked you as one of the likely ones to take a victory here today, so you definitely went at the right time.
How you guys doing tonight? Yeah, I didn't really expect myself to have a good finish like that either. I mean, the first run we had, I was getting shuffled back like crazy, so I think that early pit stop I took put me in some good track position, and I'm just able to avoid kind of the clusters that were forming and work my way up front.
Talk to us about that last sprint to the line, 4 laps to try and make it happen. You find yourself battling for the lead and even holding the lead for much of it. What's going through your mind in those moments?
As soon as we took off there, I kind of had a clear gap to the bottom. I was kind of scared Thomas was going to have a better restart than me, but I was able to get in, tuck behind the 28, and get draft. And I think whoever the leader is a sitting duck here. And as soon as I got the lead, my mindset was just stay on the bottom. If they get to my outside, like that's fine. I'm going to have to let them have it. But Thomas actually pulled a good move and kind of snookered me on the backstretch and got underneath of me. And then after that, it was just kind of keep the wheel straight, because I think me and him kind of wound up get in contact with each other. I don't know if that's my fault or his, but just keeping the thing straight and just, I don't know how close we were at the finish, but I don't think it was very much.
It was 18 thousandths of a second. So yeah,
that's pretty small.
It was very tight, and Long even came back with almost a run to get you. Considering you only had 2 top 10s all last season, this has got to be a great way to restart and reset the slate.
Yeah, it definitely is. I think last season was, I run into every problem imaginable from other people, and then also myself making mistakes on like pit road and stuff. So hopefully this year I can,